You're very involved in a lot of philanthropies, and one of them is something you, with Mary Tyler Moore, created, which is called Broadway Barks.
That's right.
And what is that about?
Broadway Barks started 19 years ago, and it was the first time that all the rescue groups worked together. All these little rescue groups were on their own. I mean, I salute anybody that decides to make a difference somewhere. And you have to, and everything is important, I believe, and you have to choose the thing that's closest to your heart and that needs attention. And I noticed that the city shelter needed a lot of attention. There were great dogs in there that were going to be euthanized because there were no homes for them. There weren't enough homes for the dogs. But people didn't understand how great these animals were. So we had just raised, for Broadway Cares. I'm also on the board of Broadway Cares. And we had, when I was in...
That focuses on AIDS-related
Yes,
illnesses?
and other things too. They give money to, like the tsunami, they would give money for that. But it started because something needed to be done. Again, it's something, so Tom Viola started Broadway Cares Equity AIDS years ago. And they produced Broadway Barks for us. But we won, when I was on Annie Get Your Gun, they have two fundraisers a year on stage where they raise money, and one was the Easter Bonnet, and we raised the most money that year of any show. So we were feeling really good, and we said, what else can we do? And I said, well, I just went to the shelter, and you should see it. They really need some help. And then we thought, well, let's do a show, an adoption event. Let's get Schubert Alley. Let's have all the celebrities come out from the show, between shows, come on stage. We'll meet their animal, bring them on stage, and get them adopted. And when we started 19 years ago, we only had 6 shelters, and now we had 28, and we can't fit anymore. Everybody wants to be part of it, and we love it. And I want to, I just want to help all these wonderful rescue groups, so that's what we do.
And you also have 2 dogs yourself at home, is that right?
I do. I have one for each hand. That's what I have. I have Rosalia, who's a pit bull, and I have Charlie, who's some kind of wire-hair pointer Griffon Labradoodle.
Okay. And so you're walking them in Central Park all the time, or?
Well, Riverside Park, and on Sunday mornings I walk them, and we go to Sephora. They love to go to Sephora, and then we go to Barney's.
Okay. So if you could do anything, would it be theater, movies, television, concerts? Which do you enjoy the most?
It's where the writing is the best. I mean, for the moment, you know, if something can be fabulous on stage, or something cannot be fabulous. So, or movies, or television. I really choose the writing, or the project, or the director, but the writing usually.
So, when you're listening to music that isn't your own, who do you listen to? What's on your iPhone, or?
I like Amy Winehouse, and do you remember someone named Gogi Grant? Right. She had a beautiful voice. Right. She has a beautiful voice. And Ella Fitzgerald and Frank Sinatra. And
did you ever sing with Sinatra?
I never sang with him, no.
And if you could sing with anybody as a duet, who would you want to sing with? Sinatra or?
Tony Bennett now. Yeah, Tony Bennett would be great. Why not?
And if you could act with anybody in any movie, or who would you like to?
Al Pacino.
Okay, all right. And today, as you look at your career, what do you regard as the thing that you're most proud of? Everything you've done, or anything in particular?
You know, I'm very lucky. I've done some really fabulous projects, and I've had a really wonderful career. You know, I was on a Bob Hope special, and I wanted to do the song where Judy Garland had dressed up as a tramp with it was Fred Astaire, I believe, and he said, "You want to do that?" Okay, and he did that with me on one of his specials, and he blocked out a tooth. We would ride up the avenue, but we. So, and that was a thrill for me. I worked with George Burns, but.
What was that like?
It was great. It was great. He said, now listen, don't try to be funny. He said, Gracie was a great tragedian actress. Just be real. And so we did one of the bits, and we'll go on camera, and I started, and he's cueing me, and then I see him kind of go, he kind of relaxed, because he said, she's got it. So it was nice, and I could see that he was pleased with what I was doing, so that was nice. But I mean, look, Sunday in the Park won the Pulitzer Prize, you know. The movie I did with Steve Martin, what was it called?
The Jerk.
No, the other one, Pennies from Heaven.
Pennies from Heaven, okay.
Pennies from Heaven. I mean,
what was that like acting with him?
That was amazing. It was wonderful. I'll go back to The Jerk. When we did The Jerk, he and Carl Reiner would write it in the car going to work every day. And that was thrilling to hear them just go through it and decide what they're going to do that day, and just kind of say, hey, let's do this in this scene, and let's write. So that was wonderful to hear. And Pennies from Heaven was a lot of work, but very satisfying, and learning dances, and Danny Daniels was the choreographer, and tap dances that never got in even, and that's start the music and dance and
So if for young performers who are watching, for example, and they want advice, how can you break into show business today? What would you recommend?
Well, breaking in is a whole new ball game than when I started. I think now you have to, because when I started, you just have your headshots and go around to the agents and leave them and hope that they call you and, then send you out on a job. Nowadays, I think you have to do workshops and try to get casting agents to come see you. But I think the most important thing is to not try to be like anyone else, not try to copy anyone else. Just try to let whatever comes out of you be pure and come out of you the way it comes out of you.
And when you were growing up, did you realize that you had a great voice compared to your peers, or when did you finally realize you actually had a lot of talent? You weren't just a child actress or a singer.
When I was growing up and taking singing lessons, I enjoyed it, but I really didn't have a great voice because I wasn't singing correctly, because my mother actually didn't speak correctly. She had polyps that they had to remove. So what I heard growing up was an incorrect, my ear was hearing that. Then as I started to study as I got older and a teenager, I started to learn how to use my voice. And then I found this wonderful teacher when I was in Sunday in the Park. I knew I had a voice, but it wouldn't, by the time I was a teenager, I knew I had a voice, but I wasn't able to sing what I heard because I didn't trust some of the notes. Then I found a wonderful teacher named Adrian Angel, if you can believe it, when I was in Sunday in the Park, and she started to teach me. And then when I was in song and dance, I took a lesson every day, and I really learned how to sing there.
And did your parents live to see your success in show business?
Oh yeah, yes.
And did they come and watch, and did they criticize you, or they tell you how great you were? Or?
Oh, well, my mother, I could do no wrong. And my father, I used to study piano too, but I wasn't very good, and I wasn't really serious about it. And I heard him say to my mother, she's not very good. And I thought, he's right. I'm not very good, but that's not really what, where my talent lies. But no, they approve very much.
So you've performed at the Kennedy Center a number of times, the honors shows, among other things, and you've also performed at the Academy Awards.
Yes. And
so forth. So what's it like to doing those kind of performances in these special shows?
Well, it's lovely. It's a lovely thing to do. Kennedy Center, is terrific, and I did that a few times, and then I sang for Ted Kennedy's birthday. That's the last time I was there. And the Academy Award, the Oscars are really, it's sort of funny to perform for this audience because they're all shell-shocked. They're all like, because they're all nominated. So they're all nervous, and they're sitting there like, what am I going to say if I win? It's like, it's not really like an audience that responds. So it's kind of my little joke when I perform for them.
So today, as you look at your career going forward, what would you like to spend most time on? Is it television? Is it concerts, theater, movies, or all of the above?
Well, I love doing concerts because, there's no fourth wall, and I get to choose what I want to sing. I like all of it. I just always would want to be inspired by the piece, and that the writing is something that I'd like to do and get involved with.
So when you're at home and you're just can sing anything, you just sing Sondheim, or what do you sing in the shower, Sondheim, or?
Sometimes I don't sing because it's such an investment when I take on a song that unless I'm listening to, I like Emmylou Harris too. If I just want to sing Linda Ronstadt, I just sing just to sing. But I don't sing because if I start to sing a song, I have to really pull it apart and investigate what it's about. And so sometimes I just leave it until I have to really do that, work on it.
So today, are you traveling as much as you have in the past, or you're basically going back to New York a lot, but you're not on the road as much as you were before?
I seem to be traveling a lot. I'm doing a lot of concerts and traveling. And then Mozart looks like we're going to Japan this year.
Oh, wow.
So we'll be there. Ending up, we'll be in Japan. And then, I love being home with the dogs. I really do. So.
And who watches them when you're gone?
Well, they have people that live with them. They have a whole life.
Okay. But they're happy when you're back, I assume.
They really are. Yeah, they really are. The other thing I'd love to achieve is to really, really make a difference in the companion animal world. Just, make a difference.
And did you have dogs when you were growing up, or you didn't have them?
I begged and begged and begged, and I finally got a dog. We had a family dog. And my father loved animals, too. And so we loved, her name was Susie, and we loved Susie. And my father was always bringing home injured birds. So it was something that I always had a great love for.
So if you look back on your very long career, very
Yes.
distinguished career, what would you say you're the most proud of having done? Is it a certain song, a certain movie, a certain record? Is there one thing that you say, this is what I would really like to be the most remembered for, or the most proud of? Is there any one thing other than this interview?
I've done so many things and so many diverse things, and
You're happiest when you're performing, or happiest when you're relaxing with your dogs?
I would like I love doing creative things that open up your mind, and Sondheim singing, doing Sondheim shows and singing, or doing a show where I'm performing for people, and I'm thrilled to be amongst a whole passel of dogs, Right. So I'd like to change people's perception of how important dogs are.
When you're relaxing, you're not performing, and you just want to chill out, other than walking your dogs.
Yes.
What do you do? You're not a golfer, you're a tennis player, you're a hiker, you're a runner, or any of those things, or?
To relax, I would read and I have a beautiful terrace, and just kind of lay on the terrace, and that's how I would relax.
And you have a brother and a sister?
I do.
And they are in the performing arts world?
Well, my sister went to high school of performing arts, and then she became a casting director. And my brother, he also studied, piano, but he didn't go. He loves show business and he loves music, but he didn't go into that field. And he became an importer. And but and my mother came from a family of 9. And she had a sister that sang and 2 brothers that played instruments. So they would work and they would go out and they would sing. So it was a very happy household. Fun.
You seem like you're a very happy person.
I'm good.
Okay, so we have time for questions from our audience. So if you like to answer questions, raise your hand and just identify yourself. We have mics for people. So somebody, there's one here. This young lady right here. Is there a mic that can go right here? Right down here?
The little girl, right?
Yes, right here. Hold up. Tell us your name and is there a mic that's coming by?
Oh, she has to come stand by the mic? It doesn't come off?
Oh, you stand by. I'm sorry. I got it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well,
nice.
That's a little bit, maybe you could tilt it down a little bit. Okay, there you go.
Good work.
Okay.
I'm Sammy Hayes. I'm 11. If there was one thing that you had to say that really got you started into being in the show business and everything like that, what would you say it is? Like, what was your big thing that got you to be able to be in all these other shows?
Well, I was in, like, what show did it? Is that what you're asking me?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not what you're asking me?
Yes.
It is what okay. Well, I was in a show called, an off-Broadway show called Dames at Sea.
Right.
And I played, it was a takeoff of 30s movies. I played Ruby Keeler. And the interesting thing is, after school, I used to watch the 4 o'clock movie, the $1 Million movie. And when I used to come home, those were the movies that were on, 30s and 40s, the musicals from the 30s and the 40s. So I had that down pat like that. So, and it brought me into prominence, so to speak. Then I started going on like The Tonight Show. It used to come out of New York. And the Merle Griffin Show. He was another person that had a talk show out of New York. And people started seeing me singing on those shows late at night. So get on television.
What was Merv Griffin like?
He was fun. He was lovely.
Johnny Carson, what was he like? You were on that show once, I think? Or?
I was on that show a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, it was cold. They kept that theater so cold.
But Johnny Carson never would talk to people before they went on the show, or
he sort of didn't. No, neither did. God, he's off the air. What's his name? David Letterman. Oh. But they knew how the show worked. There was like a formula for getting to, for Johnny. So you would get interviewed. He would get the questions, but the best part was to like go off the questions, like to surprise him. And he was great with that. He loved that. He loved it because, he was funny.
Okay, got questions? Right here.
Hi, I'm Amanda Miller. I'm not going to tell you my age. And it's amazing to see you in person, hear you talk. Your voice has been in my life forever, and it's like the soundtrack of my life. But I wanted to ask you about your creative process. There's so many roles that you've originated, and when you come to the table with Steve, how do you, and you say you unpack the song, talk about the process of creating the character and exploring and bringing it to life.
Well, he gives you the map. When something is so well written, all you have to do is follow the map of the song. The whole notes, the dotted notes, why it's like that, why it's like this. And if you follow it, you can figure out his intention because he writes for the character. He's like an actor. Each show that he writes is like a different character. And he does approach it that way, which I heard on his documentary. But that's what I had always thought about him. When it's like an actor playing a new role, because each show has its own sound. Like when we were doing Sunday in the Park, it was about pointillism, which were dots. And so the music was da 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 da, you know, and how he was the artist was creating kind of in a scientific way, putting two colors together to make a third color, to make a different color. So so anyway, if you just follow what he writes and follow the map of the song, you'll find out how to sing it.
Okay. Here.
Hi, my name is Mark, and
Hi.
I'm a singer also, and actually she kind of stole half of my question, so I'll change it, I guess. I guess I'm really curious what your experience was like working on Smash.
Oh, on Smash.
Yes, and if you can just talk about that, because that was a lot of fun.
Well, I love Megan Hilty, and I played her mother, so it wasn't hard to adore and love her and her talent, and because she just kept growing and growing and growing in that role. And they had me come in, and you know, I did songs from Gypsy, it was wonderful to play a mother and love your child because I adored Megan. So it was a lot of fun. Did you like that show?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Now gone. So thank you.
Hey.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jim. I loved Smash too.
Thank you.
A fellow Queens denizen.
Ah.
But I wanted to ask you about Follies. I saw you here in Follies a few years ago. And it was a thrill. And in particular, if you could talk about the song Losing My Mind. I mean, there are a number of cast albums out there, and I've got them all, and I hear different versions of the song, but I was particularly taken with your rendition. And I wondered if you could just kind of talk us through sort of what you brought to the song and how you kind of unpacked that song.
Well, again, you know, Steve had explained to me, I know, my character's name was Sally Plummer, and Sally Ann Plummer, right? Isn't that correct?
Right.
Yeah. And he said, I know what she's doing when she's home. I know the house is a mess. I know exactly who she is. So that song in particular is such phrases about life and what, you know, the sun comes up, I think about you. The coffee cup, I think about you. I want you so, it's like I'm losing my mind. I mean, it's the roadmap again. He's telling you what's going on in the number, and she basically is not quite centered, this girl, you know. So, you know, that's what's happening.
And that's what I loved about your performance of that. You brought a tremendous kind of vulnerability and instability to it, but yet were strong through it. And it just really, it was
thank
great.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name
Hi.
is Katie, and I'm very happy to be here and to see you in person. I grew up, of course, listening to your shows and being a huge fan of yours, but I wanted to ask you, you do have, as part of your aesthetic, the hair and the voice that makes you unequivocally nothing but you. And I was wondering, you know, what do you think when you're creating a new role or when you're working on an old role, how do you become the other character while still keeping that important part of yourself in the role?
Well, I always put so much of myself in every role. I try to relate personally to what's going on. You know, at some point I go, well, God, that's me, you know, when it's not me, you know, but all of a sudden it becomes me. So I find a way, I always make it very, very, very personal, everything that's going on, and I think that's the way to do it.
Somebody has hair like that can sing, no doubt. Right?
Look at that.
Thank you for helping me learn how to embrace the curl, as
Good.
my mom would say.
It looks great. It's beautiful.
Well, I'm a huge fan. Since I
Thank
saw The Jerk when I was a kid, and just have loved you forever.
Thank you.
But around Tony Award season, you know, a lot of the Broadway actors, they start making the rounds and they start doing interviews. So there's a lot of talk right now about the lack of acting opportunities for women above 30, and especially original roles. You know, you have War Paint right now, and you know, Hello Dolly's great. It's a revival. But so, what is your take on that?
Well, you know, it's who's ever writing right now. I just pray that they write good, solid shows. You know, that's the most important thing. So that we have, you know, more, that the canon grows and grows and grows, rather than having to go back and do all the revivals. Steve's shows, and actually, and Jerry Herman too, you know, those who have become now classics. And it's great to see them with wonderful stars in them. And so, but it would be great to have new writers write some really terrific things.
Is there any role, like classic role, that you have not played yet that you would consider playing at some point?
You know, I've played most of them, really. So I don't know what's left, really, but I've been very fortunate, very fortunate.